Hi, everybody. I'm immigration lawyer John Kasravi. Thank you for coming to our live show that we have every Tuesday evening, 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern. Today being November 7th, the first show I think we did this month. But we're here to take your general questions about U.S. immigration, education based only. We can't give specific case guidance here. But if you have a particular theme or issue that you're dealing with, I try to get some highlights and perspective of what's going on to the extent possible. So just shoot out your questions live on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. We have two YouTube pages, a clips page and a regular page. Definitely follow us on YouTube. There's hundreds of videos, maybe thousands that could help you out that really explain everything that's going there. Everything that's discussed here is intended for general education only, not individual legal guidance. Be aware of that. And let's just jump into your questions. So Chani says, did the EB3 date get current? Well, it depends on when you have your priority date. So it's going to be different for everybody. It's not current. Bobby Harris said, hello. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. So the EB3 process is a green card through employment. There's a long line for it. And the way you get your place in line is by following and starting a perm application. You get set up a priority date, and then, that's your place in line. Unfortunately, the line is moving very, very slowly, almost non-existent moving backwards, even, meaning it's getting longer while you're waiting in line. No, it doesn't really make much sense how this all works out, but the long and short of it is you got to wait longer, most likely, but check what's called the visa bulletin for an answer as to what is currently being used. And what you got to do. Okay, we're getting no sound here on Instagram. Let's see. Why is this no sound? Sorry, Alisha. It shows my mic is on. I turned it on. Sorry, not sure what's going on, why it says no sound. But having said that, Yaris, if you want to check out the Visa Bulletin, go to Google, just type in Visa Bulletin. The first site usually is the Department of State's website that has what those things are, what the dates are and stuff like that. There's different grids that you can look at. Yara asks, would applying for food stamps negatively affect your citizenship process? Yeah, almost definitely, because food stamps generally is something that's not allowed for non-citizens. There's an application that asks if you're a citizen or not. Now, some cases, some states may give food stamps, depends on what kind of food stamps it is, or if you have some sort of special circumstances. But generally, you're not supposed to get federal benefits, cash or cash-like benefits from the federal government if you don't have a citizenship. Again, there's always exceptions to everything, so I look into that. You hereby would not file citizenship, called a N-400 naturalization application, till you have certainty of what's going on there. Too risky that you're going to get denied for maybe a false claim of citizenship percentage. A lot of issues could come. So I'm really glad you brought up that question. Could it turn into a nightmare? Hopefully you haven't filed already. Talk with immigration lawyer in private to see what's going on. Arjun says, what's the wait time for I-130? Well, it depends on what kind of I-130 petition you have. So different for different cases. Assistance asks, hello, can you visit your home country after you've been you become a U.S. citizen through asylum? When you come an asylee, you generally are telling the U.S. government by their statutes, you're saying that I'm not going to visit my home country, use this passport again. In practice, people do it all the time after they get citizenship, and I haven't heard anyone get a problem. But if you're asking me as an attorney whether I could do that, I would say I'm not allowed to recommend it, and that's just leave it at that. Efrain says, how long does it take to adjust status due to labor certification I-485? That depends on your type of employment-based case you have, which your priority date is, and what's going on with the visa bulletin, which your place in line is different. So it just depends on the case type and your country of birth. There's a lot of different factors that go into these timelines. That's why if you're a regular watcher of our show, I generally don't answer questions about timelines because it's so unique. And even if I give an answer, it could be completely wrong because the government is inconsistent every day on this stuff. So who knows? Rio Shadabi asks, will the adjustment of status be faster if the I-130 for a U.S. citizen spouse has already been approved? Not necessarily. I haven't seen it necessarily be different. Sometimes it's fast, sometimes it's slower. That's not a particular reason for it to be faster. Rushy says, hey, good day. Am I allowed tax return as H-2B visa with social? Am I allowed tax return? You talk with an accountant if you're looking into tax issues. I won't be able to answer that here. AB Bank says, how many days now to take before you apply for work authorization? There's no how many days unless you have an asylum case pending. It's a minimum days, but the rest of them, you have to have a proper reason to do it. Artur, I-130 times vary dramatically based on different factors, including if you're a citizen or if you're a green card holder. The I-130 petition time just varies. So I'm not going to get too much into timelines for everyone else who's going to ask. Xavier Javier says, when sending pictures of proof to a lawyer, am I supposed to print on photo paper? It depends on how your lawyer likes it. In our office, we do everything digitally. So we create a Dropbox folder and you send those files to us and then we print them. What your lawyer is looking for is something you should ask your lawyer, not me, because I'm not sure how they do their processes. Mimi says you're a great attorney. Thank you so much, Mimi. I appreciate it. It says I'm still married. My husband won't let me apply for a green card. I'm Canadian, can't qualify for VAWA. Yeah, maybe if your husband's doing that kind of stuff, that may be the case. I'm gonna look into it more, schedule a consultation, but that may be something you can look into. I know on TikTok there's a lot of lawyers that say for 100% you're guaranteed it. I don't like to come to TikTok and say something like that. These are kind of sometimes dubious VAWA claims, but maybe you can. Something you got to look into. Not something you answer here. Pedro Andrew said no questions about processing time frames. Definitely regulars. Pedro Andrew. Bobby says IR1 Abu Dhabi. How long does it take the interview from DQ? 1 year, 2 years, something like that. Babu says, how does it take to determine asylum case, sir? That's up to the courts and their backlog. Dylan says, my husband's interview location has not changed to Ankara. Would I need him to make a residency card or anything of that sort? He lives in Iraq. No, he just needs to visit Ankara when the interview is scheduled. So he may need to have a Turkish visa. I'm not sure what Turkish immigration laws are at this time. Most of my clients that go to Turkey are either Turkish or from Iran, and Iranians don't need visas. At least it's really easy to get a visa. I remember it used to be visa exempt. I'm not sure. Okay, so Alicia says, I filed for my wife September 2022. I'm a green card holder. I'm in California. One of my daughters who is under severe depression. Can I file expedite request for a chance of success? I mean, there's no expediting a green card holder F2A case. Those are backlog right now into 2019. So you're going to have to wait for that to be current. There's no expediting the whole case. I'm not sure the whole case if you're doing adjustment of status or constant processing. I'm not sure. I can't give you all these direct things. All I can say is if you have an F2A case, spouse of a green card holder case, they're approving cases filed in 2019 right now. It's huge backlog. Retrogression happens. So you can't speed up that line. But there might be other factors, other special parole features or something humanitarian stuff that could be done. I don't know. Not enough information. That's something that has to be talked about during a consultation. But that's the real deal, what's happening in the general picture, what you're dealing with. Don says, hey, I have a green card and extension with the I-75 on 40 months. Can I travel abroad? Can you have troubles if you travel? I have an I-751 pending. I can't guarantee it. I don't know anything about you. Generally, as long as you have a clear record, no weird stuff, criminal history, immigration violations, fraud violations, accusations of fraud, false claims of citizenship, you pay your taxes, all that kind of stuff, then yeah, it's probably okay. I can't guarantee it. But you need to have the expired green card along with the extension notice. Pedro answers, how long are employers sponsoring visas and green cards obligated to keep their employees' immigration files on site with HR legal? I don't do the perm process from our firm. My associate does. So I don't want to get into EB2, EB3 perm kind of cases. But for EB1, which I do our office, there's no requirement for keeping any logs. We want to keep it if they just to have it. I have it, so if they need to just ask me for it. But for HR legal stuff, that's H1B, EB2, EB3 perm kind of cases. I don't do those in my office, so I can't answer that one. BBS, have you been having trouble adding a derivative on the MVC portal? No, but if you do, just contact the MVC and ask them to fix that situation. AH Coke, Abby, thank you for joining. Unfortunately, I can't bring you live in the show, but good to hear from you. I hope everything in the family is going well. Mohara said, do you have any updates about Afghan asylum? Unfortunately, I don't. Denal, after second interview of the N400 citizenship, the reason is falling out of the allegiance part in interview. I don't know if that's kind of, we never heard that before. Schedule consultation, look into it, but you have to do an oath of allegiance. If you can't do it or can't understand it, you have to have a special reason or waiver or something like that. Abigail says, what is the difference between between CRI 89A? I don't know what those are. Okay. Rusty says, is it possible for filing? I left country and are in the States before my filing. I don't know what kind of case you have, Rusty. I can't answer that. How many months for work permit lost again applies maximum? So there's no maximum. They take however long they want. Ganesh Lama says, can I travel freely with my conditional green card via generally, if you have a green card, conditional green cards, and you don't have other issues, then it's fine. Do you know the timelines for Djibouti? I don't, but I think it's really bad. It's one of the bad ones. I remember reading a list of embassies that had delays. Djibouti was one of them, but I can't remember the details. I think Abigail was saying CR1 and I-751 or something like that. There's a difference between having a 2-year green card and a 10-year. You're comparing apples and oranges, Abigail. I-751's a form. CRI8, you probably mean CR1 or something like that. One's a spouse of a citizen type green card. The other's a form to remove a conditional green card, like different things. Okay, let's see. Okay, we get the typical repeat questions all over TikTok, so I'm just going to skip through those so I get some new ones. What are the next steps after denial of a marriage adjustment while abroad on advanced parole? Whew. I don't know. Obviously, what the denial is for. Hopefully, it was a mistake on their part, and you can reopen it and redo it. If not, you have to do an I-130 and with consular processing. But we need to see what the reason for the denial was. If something's fixable or it's going to be a problem again. So, Jess Green, schedule a consultation at the office. Is very serious. Gadeskoy says, what if an immigrant loses their country ID and is seeking asylum in America? I don't do asylum, so I don't really want to get into asylum cases. Special ops is where you located. I'm in Los Angeles, but our location doesn't matter. We handle cases from across the country. It's all digital. Don says, would you send me the secondary inspection due to the I-751 letter? Yeah, just to confirm that it's like a real version of it. Calcab says, there's 2 years gone since my I-90 for my wife. How long does it take? Yeah, I-90 renewals, unfortunately, take anywhere from 3 months to 2.5 years. It's kind of insane it's taking that long, but they could be problems. They could have lost it or something like that, but it's not. I had a husband, I had a couple, a husband, a wife, and 3 children. We filed I-90 form renewals for their green cards. A 10-year green card is expiring. The wife got her new green card in 3 months. The rest of the family, husband and 3 minor children, it took 24 months or maybe 24, maybe more than 2 years, like 26 months to get their green cards renewed. So it's just ridiculous. And so when timelines go this long, it's just there's a problem in the system. Sorry about that, Clay. But you could get proof of having a green card by requesting an ADIT stamp or proof of it from USCIS if you need something to hold you over. Usually the receipt notice has some time. I think it's like 2 years on it, maybe 4 years. Don Carl says, okay, we already answered that question. We answered this one too. Munisa says, I'm an international student from Uzbekistan. I need to transfer to another university and come back to my university right now. How risky is it because I have to renew my visa each year? I need to transfer to another university and come back to my university. I'm not sure what you mean. You have to transfer universities and come back to university. If you have a valid student visa and you're in the U.S., then just transfer. And like my university, just transfer your I-20s. And if you need to leave and get a new visa, then just get a new visa. I don't know the details. I can't really guide you individual, Melissa. But generally, just do an I-20 and the school help you with the transfer. If you need a new visa, you go to the embassy and do a consular interview. It's up to them. If you're really studying and everything's legit, then you'll be okay. But I don't, as far as I can talk about here. Modi says, how long does the I-130 take to be approved for a minor of a citizen? Probably around 12, 13 months right now. Hey, Kokabi, you're welcome. Chris says, how far am I getting residency permit for applying petition I-693? How far am I getting? You're near the end of it. And your question is not clear, Crystal, but if they didn't RFE request for evidence asking for your medical check of I-693, you're towards the end of it, but it could be anywhere from 1 month to 6 months before you get approved. Sharma says, I sent my cancellation for I-130 for spouse visa. It wasn't approved. Do you know how long it will take to cancel it? No, it's up to them however they want to do it. Darn calls, what can they ask at the secondary inspection marriage questions? They could ask whatever they want, but most likely they're just going to check to make sure your I-751 receipt is real. It's in the system. It's not something you made up. But I've had things very rare. People call me and say at the secondary inspection they got into a relationship, accuse them of fraud. There must have been something deeper going on there, but it's not typical. Paranoid says, my friend lost green card in Turkey and tried to contact the embassy in Ankara, but no response. Is the conflict in Israel affecting outposts in the region? It is. The conflict in Israel is affecting various outposts in Lebanon and maybe Jordan and all that, like in Jerusalem and Tel Aviv. Not necessarily Turkey. It's just the U.S. embassy in Turkey and consulate in Istanbul and the embassy in Ankara are just so backed up and they're so understaffed and busy that it's just no responses. And if you lose your green card when you're traveling, that's a huge nightmare right there because you might not be able to get on a plane to come back, and it takes some money and time to be able to fix it. So that's like a really disaster. RS, if underdocumented person went back to their home country, can they go back to U.S. with a different last name? No, you can't use fraud. That was what you're talking about. All right, that's not the best question to ask you. No, you can't commit fraud and abuse the system, try to get back in. Now, Tyre says, I have no clock. My silence pending more than 180 days. Can I apply for AD? As I mentioned earlier, we don't do, for office in general, we don't do asylum cases. So I don't like to comment on cases I don't handle personally. You're welcome, Marit. Michelle asks, how long after filing I-130 can I submit a green card application for spouse of a citizen? If the spouse is in the U.S. and they satisfy the adjustment of status requirements, you could have done the green card with the I-130. But if the spouse is overseas, then you have to wait for consular processing start and all that kind of stuff. I have a guide on this. Go to marriageimmigrationlaw.com, Michelle Small. It's marriageimmigrationlaw.com. 40+ page guide with a chart that breaks down how it all works out. Tony asks, how long does it take to receive your travel documents when it said was produced? I mean, that week probably. Saima, you're welcome. You're welcome. Saima says, hello, my parents have a green card and they have traveled to India for 5 months this year and came back to the US. You haven't asked a question. I'm assuming, is that going to be a problem if for citizenship? Yeah, if they keep doing that, it's going to be a problem. But if it was less than 6 months, just one trip, it'd probably be okay. How can a Canadian entrepreneur or businessman get a green card? There's different ways. You could be really talented at what you do and get extraordinary ability green cards, national interest waiver. You could do an E2 visa to start with the business, grow it, and get an investor green card. There's, while you're here on studying, potentially on a student visa or E2 investor visa, starting your own business, you may meet someone and get married and file for green cards. All these options exist. Shema says, we answered that question. Let's see. Nilo asks, green card holder applied for husband in 2019. Everything has been approved. My case, Turkey, but I haven't got an interview appointment. How long should I wait? Getting an interview in Turkey is really hard. So 9 months to 2 years after being DQ is like a normal timeline, unfortunately. Simon, I can't give individual legal guidance what your parents can or can't do, but a person who has a green card probably shouldn't be outside for U.S. more than 6 months. Not only will that cause them to do extra attention to them when they're returning to the U.S., it'll potentially delay getting citizenship for the absences. How can I get a green card as an international student? Well, you just got to do what everyone else does. Nothing particular in your case, but you have extraordinary ability. You get a job at a certain company that wants to hire you. You have work that's in the national interest. We just got an international student, a PhD, who did research on cancer, and we got her a green card based on the work that she's doing, national interest waiver. We got the I-140 approved, not the green card. But you may, a lot of international students, it's a big thing we do in our office is graduate students who get married with their classmates and file for green card that way. Tell us this question. It's a year that all documents are approved for my parents, but Islamabad has not. Yeah, Islamabad's backed up too. I recently got an interview for Islamabad case about a year. I was surprised, actually. I thought it was going to take long to get that interview. Debbie says, if you're a resident only, can you retire back to your home country and keep Social Security? I don't know about Social Security, but if you're a green card holder, you're not supposed to leave and stop living in the United States. I just received my notice of receipt in the mail. Does that mean my case is being processed actively? That's correct. Christina says, I just got a notice. My medical has now expired and they need a current exam pay again, wait longer. If they say they need a new one, they need a new one. That's why I don't like to send the medicals with the initial I-130 most of the time. But with these, especially for F2A cases, backlog. But if they say have to get a new one, gotta get a new one, unfortunately. See if the doctor will give you a deal. What form do you have to fill up after I-130 approved? It depends on what kind of case you have, adjustment of status or consular processing. Download my guide, marriageimmigrationlaw.com. Ariana says, hello, I filed for removal of citizenship for my 2-year residence. Okay, I think you filed a 2-year removal of conditions. I don't know, the rest of your question is not coming up, so sorry. Can I get a green card as a Canadian buying a business in the United States? If you spend like $1 million and create 10 full-time jobs, the investment amount's different. But if you invest almost $1 million and create 10 full-time jobs, you may potentially get a green card down the line. Is traveling with an I-551 ATP? I'm not sure what you're saying, but if you have an I-551 stamp, it's valid. That's for, it's okay to travel. Receive a letter that acts as an extension. What do I do? Nothing. I just wait for the decision on your case. Don Carlos follows up. How can I be sure I can travel abroad with the I-75 with no problems? Can I check this? There's no way you can know. It's discretion of the officer coming back, whatever they want to do. You'll know if you haven't done anything that violates status or immigration or issues, you'll probably be okay, but there's no way you can check for sure. Tell us about the K1 visa, brothers. There's just too much stuff to talk about. I just did a video on YouTube called K1 versus marriage visa, so watch that. But just download my guide. Go to marriageimmigrationlaw.com. I have a guide that breaks it all down for you for free. Just marriageimmigrationlaw.com, 40+ pages, breaks it all down for you. Can I change to a different country for visa if I already submit everything and just wait for appointment? Yeah, you got to ask the new embassy you want to do an interview at and ask if they'll accept your case. And if so, they'll transfer it over. Carl Mason says, hey, my spouse got an interview and got rejected due to I-864 and consular has to update it, which we did. They did update case status, but visa status is still refused. That's whom to contact. Contact the embassy, but they're probably still working on your case. How long does it take? Oh, I answered that. Can you adjust status with a 212D5 parole if you're married? If it's a 212D5 and you're married to a citizen, most likely, but I need to review the case. Okay, we're just going through a lot of repeat questions, trying to find the new ones. Sorry for the pause, everybody. Yeah, I answer all these questions. We got to listen, people, because then you keep posting the same thing. Okay, let's go to YouTube. Alma says, Alma doesn't make sense what she's saying. Don Carl says, what happens with have a problem coming back? Ask the immigration judge. Yeah, if you're coming back and there's issues, they'll most likely send you to immigration court or something like that. Zane says, what requirements for EB2 visa? It depends on what kind of EB2. If you're doing national interest waiver, you got to satisfy the national interest waiver requirements. If you're doing perm, you need to have an employer that files for you. You match the education requirements. They show they have the need for this position and no one else could fill it and how much they could pay you, all this kind of stuff. That's like a really big conversation to have here. So we're not going that broad. We don't go super broad here because it's just you can watch a YouTube video on this stuff. And we don't go too much into detail in the little bit because then I have to just have a consultation with you. There's a sweet spot in the middle that I try to answer. That's just too broad. How long is the wait time for visa in Malaysia? That's too specific. I haven't done a Malaysia case recently, so I can't tell you that. What form? Can I change my status if I came in at age 4 and overstayed visa and I'm a DACA reassignment? You can't change status. Once you violated status since your last entry, then you can't change status anymore. You might be able to do adjustment of status if you enter, you're marrying a U.S. citizen, enter lawfully or something like that. We got to check out what's going on in your case. Let's say, is it true that interviews are being waived for married couples? Yeah, for the last 2 years, they've waived most interviews for married couples. Irma asks, are you qualified for EB2 visa if you hold a U.S. school diploma? No, there's more to it. It's school diploma, high school diploma doesn't qualify EB2 anyways. No, unless you're doing, probably not, Irma, but we have to see if there's some sort of exception, but probably not. All right, let's see. I'm going to have to, unfortunately, unthink some people for asking block accounts. You can't ask the same thing a million quiet times if I answer it because it just makes it hard to keep up what's going on here. So if you would please try to avoid asking the same question over and over again. Can I get a work visa with a business major? It depends on what the job is and who the employer is, all that kind of stuff. Irma says with a college diploma, Irma, we got to see what the job is, what your diploma's in, and all that kind of stuff. It's possible if you have a bachelor's degree that opens it up. I mean, you don't for an EB3, you don't have the skills either, but it really depends on if you have an employer that wants to hire you and can pay for you. Do you have any eligible businesses that can introduce me to buy that would help? No, we can't. I don't help with business purchases or something like that. I'm residing in America. USCIS approved my I-130 petition. I sent my case to NBC. What can I do? You need to file for adjustment and also terminate the NBC case or close it. It has to be properly done. But you only file for adjustment status if you have valid status. Just being here by itself doesn't help you out. Are provisional waivers being approved right now or is it on hold? They're being approved. It just delayed like 2 or 3 years. Zane asks, which visa is required to invest? Which visa? There's the E2 visa, but your country has to have a relationship, a special treaty with the United States. I have a detailed website. If you go to jqqlaw.com, go to the employment tab, and within that, go to the E2 page. I have every rule and law there is for the E2 visa, so I would read that and check it out. Is traveling internationally with an I-551 stamp while waiting physical green card issue? No, if it's a valid stamp, that's fine. Crystal says, if someone gets back to home country for 15 years after, if someone goes back to home country for 15 years after and re-enters illegally again, is that permanent bar? Yeah, it is, unfortunately. Sorry. Kevin says, I'm Cuban. I call him 15 years after. I'm Cuban. When I say it is permanent bar, I still have to read your case. I can't just say something is something without reviewing the exact dates or your fuller question. Most likely it is. So we have a Cuban person. Kevin's talking about Cuban immigration. I'm in California. You're best to contact a lawyer in Florida. They handle more Cuban cases, but I don't know the special Cuban program. So one of my associates probably does, but I don't handle Cuban programs, so I don't want to comment on that. Shama says, where's your firm located? We're in Orange, primarily in Los Angeles, but I have associated in Virginia, I have in Orange County. All our stuff's digital online, so our location doesn't matter. Don Carlos says, if I live in California, if custom office asks about cannabis, you say no. I can't tell you to lie. If you did use cannabis, you have to be honest, and there'll be problems with that for sure. So, but I can't tell you, go lie to an officer. That doesn't make sense. So, you guys got to be conscious of what you ask me. Assignment says, hello, when I transfer from one state to a different state with a pending asylum case, do previous wait years become void for mandamus filing? I don't know about mandamus filing because I don't handle lawsuits. But you can always sue and they'll just do it anyways because they don't feel like dealing with lawsuits a lot of time. Don Call says, sounds good. Sorry. I just say for your own benefit, don't be coming in public and posting this. Our friend Coco says, Dear John, my son filed a case in December 2014, and you said that we have to wait another 8 or 9 years, which means a total of 18 years. Is that correct? My son's filed the case. I can't remember who filed the case for your son. If it was a brother or sister case, that's taken forever. And adult unmarried child of a green card holder is taken 9 or 10 years or 12 years. The thing is, these lines aren't even moving. So when he says total years, I can't even say it because it's been 2 or 3 years where the line has only moved up 1 month worth of time. So it's really a big unknown how long it's actually going to take. Porticia says, why are they delaying cases even after interview approved and everything submitted? That's a bureaucracy. That's what bureaucracy is. Let's see. Good night. What about you married to a New York citizen and the marriage didn't work out? What? CTOF schedule consultation so we see what's going on with the case. I don't know. No. My question was cut in half. Okay. Mohammed says, my ISM filed under review since 2021. Now I got divorced. What did I do? Well, you need to talk with immigration as soon as possible to request a divorce waiver. How does it take for adjustment of status after fingerprinting? There's no association between adjustment of status and approval and the fingerprinting biometrics appointment. Should I try advanced parole if I entered with visa legally at age 4 and overstayed, not DACA? No, if you legally entered, you don't get much. You don't get much benefit with advanced parole. I'd have to review your individual case to see if there's something there. But if you have proof of lawful entry, the reason why people would need advanced parole is mute for you. It's moot for you. It's not something that makes a difference. But it might be something going on in your case I'm not aware of. So you have to schedule a consultation. Okay. All right, we got 5 more. I'm going by fast. Assignment says, one more question. Which immigration offices are allowing adjustment of status EB2, EB3 for a pending asylum applicant? No interview. It depends on the officer. Most of them will deny it. Deborah says, my friend got VAWA green card last September and filed for his unmarried children. When children out of country become interview for the children. When children out of country become for, can he go over interview? I think you're saying, can he go to the interview? I don't know. I got to talk with your friend and see what the background is on that. I got to know what their status is and who the father of the children is. If it's if they give permission for there's a lot more conversation that happen to avoid international abduction kind of stuff. If parent files I-130 for married children and then forward up husband wants to file, what's the case? And then forward up husband, I'm not sure what that means, Sona. What can I do if USCIS is saying your case is taking longer than expected? You can sue them, but other than that, not much. How can I bring someone who raised me? I don't know. Can you drive a box truck if you're undocumented? You can't work without authorization. How long is the processing time for removing conditions? 6 months to 4 years. Hey, sir, I got a green card through marriage. I need to withdraw the asylum. Okay. Does the parent spouse receive the extension of green card letter or the dependent as well? The receipt goes to where the address was listed. That's where it goes. Don Carlos, do you advise applying for citizenship in the middle of conditional green card renew? We usually do file for citizenship. I can't advise you anything. I can't advise anybody here because I can't talk about some individual cases. But for most of our cases, not all, but almost all of them, we do file for citizenship if they have they can file for citizenship, even if the conditional green card is pending. But we got to make sure your case isn't one of the exceptions. I filed in 2022 and did my interview in May with my wife. It got approved. But I'm still waiting for adjustment months after appointment. I guess you weren't approved because they're still pending. So it just happens sometimes like that. Okay, sorry, going through a lot of repeat questions. Just going to skip a bunch of questions. EB3 while asylum pending, please. Usually they'll deny that. Sometimes they'll make exception. Assignment says, has the high court made a decision on whether pending asylum status applicant can transition to green card? No, they haven't, unfortunately. Hopefully we'll get a lawsuit on that soon. Received an RFE for marriage certificate. I don't have a marriage certificate. Had a religious marriage 20 years ago. Well, Gorman, you're in trouble. Talk with the lawyer in private to see if some sort of exception exists. Shayma says, I received an appointment for test for citizenship in April. I failed, but waited for another appointment and haven't received anything yet. What do I do? I mean, you start calling them to see what's going on, but sometimes it takes a while to get a new appointment schedule. I said, what does it mean when it says your case is taking longer than expected? That means exactly what it says, taking longer than expected. What options do I have as an F2 visa holder? As a 20-year-old, my host, dad, F1 holder abandoned me. I don't know. Talk with the attorney, but I can't say anything off the top of my head. Balkan says, I got I-130 approved 4 days ago. I-45 is still pending. I just make Carlos next. You wait for the adjustment of status. I-45 to be adjudicated. I have DACA. If I marry a green card holder, how long till I receive mine? Well, this is problematic because if you marry a green card holder, if you have previous status violations, you cannot adjust status. You still have to do consular processing. So Ingrid Freitas, please download my guide, marriageimmigrationlaw.com. It's free, and then schedule a consultation because marrying a green card holder may not solve your issues. You may have to wait for your spouse to become a citizen first, or your fiance to be a citizen first. Melig says, I was born abroad and moved to USA when I was 17. My father's U.S. citizen. Do I qualify for citizenship? We need more information on your background to be able to answer that question. Green card lottery while pending asylum. Sometimes it gets approved, sometimes it doesn't. Shay Ross said, does getting WIC affect your immigration status? I think WIC was like a childhood health thing. It's probably okay, but I don't remember what WIC was exactly. Simon asked, was the first in, first out for asylum interview policy proposed by Trump administration canceled by administration? I don't know why they do this stuff. This is a political decision. Was it canceled? I don't know what they're doing. None of it makes any sense. Every month is different. So a lot of people try to follow the laws and these new stuff. It's good clickbait to like listen in on like, oh, the Senate is going to pass this. The president going to do some immigration reform. Why they do this? We have no answers. This is just everything is on a whim in immigration. I just deal with like what practically makes a difference. And we don't do asylum, but if we did, 5 people file an asylum case. 3 of them will get an interview in 6 months. 1 of them will get an interview in 2 years, and 1 of them will get an interview in 7 years. Which one's which? It's just not up to me and not to anybody. It's just a random stuff. And just what you have to deal with. User 83 says, I'm Jamaican, or I have to finish right now. I'm Jamaican and 45. My dad is now a citizen. If he follows me, how long will it take? Well, it's going to take a long time, probably like 10 plus years or something. Check out the visa bulletin. Okay, one more question on TikTok, and we'll call it a day. Let's find a good one. Good night. Once you apply for a fiancé visa, you get a ticket number so you can track it or receipt. Yeah, once you file a case with USCIS, you get a receipt notice that has a number on it, a receipt number. And that's something you can track with USCIS.gov in your online account. Shama says, my dad got citizenship when I was 3 years old. I'm 16 now. Can my dad apply for CRBA? No, because he wasn't a citizen before you're born. But potentially, if you get a green card and you're under 18, then you could, and you are 16. If you get your green card in the United States with your dad, then you'll become a citizen automatically. You won't get a CRBA, which you got to get a certificate of citizenship and file for passport. You don't have to get a certificate of citizenship. It's just recommended. Ben says, I'm a U.S. citizen trying to invite my dad for a visit to the U.S. What form I file? Website. Just go to the U.S. Embassy website, study a tourist visa. You don't file anything. Your dad has to file all this stuff himself. Okay, we'll take one more question. That's a good question on TikTok. And we'll call it a day. The question is, you're welcome, Trisha. Can I renounce my citizenship and go back to green card? No, you can't do that. Is working on a J1 visa a problem when adjusting status to marriage? It depends on if you violated your J visa, how you violated it, and if it's, depends, Isaac. So I don't know. You got to look into it. Stu Melzer, you're the real deal. Thanks. You're welcome. Okay, come on. One more question, and it will be, how many months is the waiver I-601 to get approved? It's all over the place. Unfortunately, waivers, I-601, I-601A waivers are taking anywhere from 6 months to 3 years. A lot of people are filing lawsuits for the delays nowadays, so it is out of control. I'll take one more question from Daniela. Hi, good evening. I found your channel by chance. I have a question. I'm Brazilian. I applied for CR1 visa April 11, 2022. I'm still waiting for NOA2. Why is the delay, please? Immigration lawyers don't say NOA1, 2. This is stuff on these websites, do-it-yourself website, they say. So it doesn't help me. But I'm assuming what you're saying is you filed an I-130 petition and either got a receipt on it or was approved. So it's probably going to take 12 to 14 months to get that I-130 approved, sometimes faster. And then you got to work with the National Visa Center and schedule an embassy appointment in, I think it's in Rio in Brazil. Probably another year for that. It's probably going to take 2 years from the day you started it, but I'm not sure what NOA2 is, frankly, because immigration lawyers don't use those initials. But that's that. Thank you, everyone, coming on. I appreciate it. God bless. Be safe, and I'll be back next Tuesday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. If you want to catch me here, you just got to talk with me, schedule, or my associates. Schedule a consultation. Email us at info@jqqlaw.com. Leave a brief message, and that's so we know what kind of case you have, and then we take it from there. Team, you're welcome. Thank you, everyone. God bless. Be safe, and see you soon. Bye-bye.